Hello and welcome back to Pitch Perfect, Haters TV's women's football show. I'm joined in the studio by Jamie Spangher and Ishan Shah. We've got an exciting show ahead, looking back at the FA Cup semi-final results. We'll also be looking at the March WSL Awards of the month, the winners, and we'll also be doing a few awards of our own, looking at some bright lionesses to look out for and some who was your player, your signing of the season, sorry, I should say. Let us know in the comments. We've also got a poll running as to who you think is going to win the FA Cup. Of course, we now know our finalists are Chelsea and Manchester United. We've got some votes going already. I think Chelsea are just about in the lead, but let us know. Get your vote in. We'll turn straight to our first FA Cup semi-final, and it was another win for Chelsea. Chelsea beat Liverpool 2-1. It was a great game. Aggie Beever-Jones scored that winner. A Chelsea fan scoring, getting Chelsea to Wembley is what dreams are made of for her. Ishan, you were there. Give us your take on the match.
Yeah, I thought Liverpool started so well, especially in the first half. Chelsea barely had a sniff. They had 0 shots on target up until Erin Cuthbert came up clutch, as she always does. I think she's turning into one of the most clutch players in the league, always popping up with important goals. But the show was all about Aggie Beever-Jones, and even before her goal, she was one of my players of the match. She was just so dangerous throughout, and that goal was just the icing on the cake. I can't even imagine how it must feel for her as a Chelsea fan to put Chelsea through to the FA Cup finals, playing at Wembley as well. She spoke about that as well. But I think she's been so important for Chelsea. She's still only 21 years old, and she's Chelsea's top scorer this season already. She scored her 25th goal, the one against Liverpool. That was a 25th goal since, kind of really breaking through last season. So, her goal contributions every time she's started, every time she's come off the bench, she's always producing goals and assists. She's averaging a goal and assist every 96 minutes since being promoted into Chelsea's first team, which for a young player is so impressive, especially when you look at how star-studded this Chelsea kind of squad is. But I mean, we can talk about her numbers all day, and I know you guys did last week, but I think I want to talk more about her mentality. And she's showing so much courage every time she comes off the bench to and confidence as well to really trust her instincts, and she doesn't care where she plays. She's so versatile. She can play left, right, through the middle. And obviously Sonia, in her press conference, said that she sees her as a number 10, which I would really encourage you guys to watch that press conference, because she said a lot of encouraging things about Aggie Beever-Jones and what the future has in store for her, and what a incredible young player she is, and an example for everyone, every young footballer coming through the academy. And she's really the star of the show right now at Chelsea.
Yeah, and you mentioned they're watching the press conference. I highly recommend you do that. We'll be giving you a clip of Sonia Bonpastor's press conference later, where she was full of praise for Aggie Beever-Jones. And we've got a comment in from Adam Salter 93 on the back of your thing, what you said about Erin. We've got Erin Clutchbert. So that's a great nickname. So thank you very much, Adam Salter 93. And as I mentioned, do give us your comments. I will read out as many of them as I can throughout the show. But talking of Aggie Beever-Jones and her post-match reaction, let's hear what she had to say, what it means to her putting a Chelsea side through as a Chelsea fan.
Yeah, it means everything. I think, obviously, for me, being a Chelsea fan and being able to help Chelsea get to the final, and obviously scoring such late in on the game is, it's amazing. I think for me, I'm looking back at it, and I could have had a few earlier. The game probably saved a few people stressing out a little bit. But no, I'm just delighted I was able to put it away, and in the crucial last minutes of the game. I've not even stepped foot on Wembley yet, so hopefully, that's the aim. Obviously, for me, it's such an incredible stadium. I've been on the bench a few times, and obviously to hopefully potentially win the FA Cup to Wembley would be huge for us.
And the full house, which will make a huge difference too.
Yeah, definitely. I think even today, the fans giving us that final push until the end, it has such a massive impact. It's the little push that sometimes you need in the game.
Well done.
You scored your first England goal, and now you scored the goal that sends Chelsea to the FA Cup final. How good do you feel personally going into another important block of fixtures?
I definitely feel good. I think for me, I'm well aware football's a roller coaster. It can have ups and downs, and for me, I'm just delighted that I was able to contribute today. I think the England goal hasn't hit me yet. I don't think this has hit me either. I think I'm just kind of living through it, and then maybe I'll look back in a few weeks or so and realise what I've done. But as long as I'm making the right people happy.
Amazing to hear from Aggie herself there post-match. And the music was really blaring, a real party atmosphere there at Kingsmeadow, and I don't blame them. Another final for them to look forward to there. We, of course, saw Chelsea sign Naomi Girma, the most expensive signing in women's football history, in January. And she only played half of a match so far. Went off with an injury. We've not seen her since. She is hopefully going to be back ahead of the Champions League match this weekend, Sonia said. So I think we're all hoping to see a bit more of her. But Jamie, what do you think she might add to an already brilliant Chelsea side?
Yeah, well, with Naomi Girma, it's a plethora of talent. Adding a player like her to a squad like Chelsea is absolutely insane. And obviously, they were so proactive when Kadisha Buchanan went down with an ACL. You've gone and signed. Some people regard her as the best centre-back in the world. We saw what she did with the USA at the Olympics. We've seen what she's done, at San Diego Wave and the NWSL. She's such a high caliber player. And not only is she so good defensively, it's her work with the ball at her feet. Her distribution is second to none. So I think if you can get a player like Naomi Girma in the Chelsea setup right now, not only is it going to aid the fact that Millie Bright and Nat Bjorn, they need a break, right? With this condensed schedule, and they've both gone away. Obviously, Millie Bright's played double fixtures for the Lionesses. So it's not going to be an easy task to get her into this setup, considering their form right now. But look, you need Naomi Girma to be starting for any team in the world. She's not a bench rider. She's too good for that. So it's a scary sight for everyone else, I think.
And I can't not look ahead to this weekend's juicy clash for Chelsea. They are playing Barcelona away this weekend. And then, of course, at Stamford Bridge the following weekend. What can we expect?
That's the only team that really scares me when I think of Chelsea facing another team. I think we can expect some revenge, hopefully, in terms of Chelsea beating Barcelona this time. This is the third time, obviously, that they're facing each other in the Champions League semi-final. So hopefully Chelsea can get a win in the away leg and then have a lead to protect at Stamford Bridge as well. But I think what we can expect just as women's football fans is some of the best talent in the world. I think, in my opinion, the two best teams in the world, and a lot of talent, and also two managers going up against each other, two new managers. So we don't really know how they're going to do at this stage at their new clubs. So I think it's going to be hopefully an open game with a lot of chances. Both teams, missing some key players, but hopefully there'll be a lot of talent on display.
Yes, definitely. And our current poll, I'll give you some scores on the doors for that one. Who will win the FA Cup final? We have got a current score of Chelsea are on 83% and Man United are on 17%. We will come to look at Manchester United a little bit later on, but keeping on Chelsea for now, an FA Cup final does wait for them. And Sonia Bonpastor spoke to us about what it means to her to be facing her first final at Wembley.
I didn't want to talk a lot about it before the game because it's a bit of a superstition as a manager, but really, really happy. I said before the game, like, this stadium means a lot in the football world. I think everyone knows this stadium. Big history. I had the opportunity to play semi-finals and the third and fourth place for the Olympics in 2012 as a player. But now I think for the entire club, it's a big, huge opportunity to play in that stadium, play a final, be part of that final in Wembley. It's something like, sometimes it only happens once in your life. So you need to be really happy about that. And I think you could see in everyone's face from Chelsea today, staff and player, a lot of smiles and a lot of happiness.
I absolutely love that. A real full circle moment for Sonia Bonpastor, playing at Wembley in the 2012 Olympics and now getting to manage a fantastic Chelsea side to a final there, which will hopefully be a sellout. Yeah. And I think it would be remiss of us not to touch on Liverpool. They were unlucky, right? Olivia Smith got that first goal we've ranted and raved about her enough this season, but just in general, Liverpool and their performance on Saturday, were they a bit unlucky?
I think Chelsea definitely deserved to win, but you have to, take your hat off for Liverpool, especially the way they performed. They obviously don't have the depth that Chelsea do, so that's obviously a big factor in games like this. We've seen, Chelsea use their squad depth to their advantage so many times this season already. But I think Liverpool have been so good since, Amber's taken over, and especially against big teams. Like, they've caused a lot of problems to Arsenal, Man City, and Chelsea, and that really shows how good they are as a unit. And I think that's what they really play well as a unit. They don't have, other than obviously Olivia, they don't have like any big stars that can really, take over a game. But like them as a unit, especially as a defensive unit, they were really good, especially that first half. Like, Chelsea couldn't create anything at all. So I think a lot of credit has to go to Liverpool, and they fought really well. They also hit the bar in the second half. So maybe a little bit of bad luck there, but I do think that the deserved winners ended up winning.
Yeah, and you mentioned it there. Amber Whiteley came in. Of course, Matt Beard was let go earlier in the season. We've had a lot of discussion around, is letting managers go the right thing to do? And it feels like for Liverpool's case, it's really worked. What's your take on that, Jamie?
Yeah, I think Liverpool are a really interesting case study of this whole interim transition, because we've seen it at Arsenal and it's a different kettle of fish. Like, you can't compare the two squads in terms of their depth. But when it comes to Amber Whiteley, right, she came in, she got a narrow 1-0 victory over Crystal Palace. That's always going to happen under an interim head coach. The new manager bounce isn't always going to be immediately when it's not a permanent solution. And then obviously a massive monumental victory over Arsenal in the FA Cup. And then she's gone and beat Man United at Anfield 3-1. So it was this fortnight of like praise. And I think that it's not just a testament to the playing group and how they carried it. It is a testament to how she's playing football. And I honestly think Matt Beard is an excellent coach. I think that decision baffled a lot of people, and rightfully so. But you can see there's been tactical tweaks. It just is when they've gone away to Aston Villa, they've lost and put Aston Villa right back in the WSL. So it's kind of like it's a turbulent period for them. So I think we have to praise the mentality going into Chelsea, going into Kingsmeadow. They've made that ground a fortress over the last few years. So it's about a group that's come together, and I think it is a bit unlucky. I thought the first half they dominated Chelsea, and this is the best team in England right now. So yeah, praise should be given to Amber Whiteley and what she's doing, because I think she's maintained the roller coaster and kept it at a very high level.
Yeah, but once again, Chelsea just doing what they do best and finding a way. They've done that so many times this season, right? So I guess it's what champions do. Keep voting on that poll. We will now go on to talk about the second team who we'll be seeing in that FA Cup final, and Manchester United. Another huge win for United. They have reached their third FA Cup final in 3 years. That is no mean feat. And they're looking to defend their crown, of course, from last year. They faced Chelsea the year before and lost, so a bit of a revenge mission there as well. It's not going to be easy. Mark Skinner said yesterday, I don't care who the favourites are. And that's the attitude you've got to have. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about United. How much did they impress you yesterday, Jamie?
Yeah, look, I think you can look at it from two sides. I think United this season, there's been a lot of speculation on whether Mark Skinner's the man to take them forward. And I think this season he's really shown that they're operating at the potential that they need to be operating at. Then maybe not exceeding it excessively, but they're playing very good football. And yesterday we saw that. I think you can also say on the converse, like Man City right now, they're injury riddled. And I do feel for Nick Cushing. I think those 4 games against Chelsea have made Man City look like they're in a worse place than they are. But if you look at the injuries, it's Bunny Shaw, Viviana Miedema, Alex Greenwood, Lauren Hemp, Aoba Fagino, Laura Blinkill-Brown, Risa Shimizu, Rebecca Kanak, Yamashita, Jill Ward, and now maybe Mary Fowler. So I feel for them. And I think they actually put in a good second half. But Man United, they're clinical. I think Grace Clinton and Celine Bizet has been such a signing. And you look at Robert Villahan prior to the season saying, we didn't really need her. It's okay that we've let her go. She's come and slot into this United side and she's brought levels to her game. I know we'll speak a little bit more about her, but I think it was a deserved victory. I think this team defensively as a unit are operating so well. And that comes with consistency. They had a high turnover last summer and they had a turbulent season as a result. And now they've got more consistency. They've got their centre-back pairing in Turner and Leticia. They've been amazing. So yeah, I think they deserve the win. And I'm actually excited to see what they can do in the FA Cup final, because you just never know. You just never know. So there you are.
Yeah, and no, it's true. You never know. And It's a final at Wembley.
Mhm.
They've done that 2 years in a row. They're going to go into it feeling really confident, right? And actually, someone who does love a goal at Wembley, Ella Toon.
That's for sure.
And actually, Mark Skinner, as well as the goal scorers, he was full of praise for Ella Toon on the leadership that she has brought to Old Trafford this year.
No, it's totally that. She's refreshed. She's hungry. She had a little go at me because she'd had a crampies at that point. The pitch was like quite firm, so she'd had a crampies, and then we took her off because we only had a limited block to make subs, and we thought she might not last. So yeah, she's but I've really loved her leadership. You know, she's my obviously vice captain. But she's grown so much. We were in the pre-match meeting earlier today, and I just said, like, if you were me now, what would you say? I asked the team that question. What would you say? Because I do all these talks all the time. And Tuna looked like she wanted to say something. So I said, okay, go on, you go. And she just said that we are a family, and that is the difference between us and other teams, is that when it needed to get dark, we are in it together. And I think not only does she love this club, it's her club, but the growth she's made as a leader is probably why you're seeing leadership traits still on the field, and she's only getting better.
I want a team talk from Ella Toon like that one yesterday. That sounded pretty epic. And yeah, she really does embody everything that Man United are about. Let's talk about Mark Skinner. He has had his contract extended to 2027 June with the option to extend for another year. He has had a lot of criticism come his way, but this is a move with some intent. What are your thoughts on that, Jamie?
Yeah, I think for Mark Skinner, in his perspective, it's that kind of dreaded 2-year option with a third contract that Jonas Adval, Gareth Taylor, they both got. And it's kind of like those head coach contracts, you never know, but we've seen what Man United's backroom staff are. I think Man United and I think Mark Skinner this season have really, really done well. I think they've been completely solid. They're 7 points clear of that Champions League spot right now. They're in an FA Cup final. Look, I think when we talk about Man United, we need to speak about them for hours because there's so much to analyze. I think this season, if you look at it in isolation, they've done really well with who they have. I truly believe that if you look at their squad compared to the squads of Chelsea, Arsenal and Man City, they're doing well to be there, considering what their depth is in comparison to these other teams. And I think when you look at Mark Skinner, the last year, I understand it was a turbulent year, but you need to put it into context, right? The summer before, Alessia Russo on a Batye, these players left on a free transfer. They've lost starting players, world-class players for free transfers. They've then had to go have a high turnover squad. They've changed their mainstays. Their starting 11's completely different. Then Mary Earps and Katie Zellum leaves. You've got a 22-year-old captaining the side right now in May Letizia, and she has done an exceptional job. She hasn't put a foot wrong. And I think that goes to Mark Skinner. It was his decision to give her the armband, and I think that's backed into the intent of where this club's going. And he's said for weeks and weeks and weeks, we want to make this a young team that are going to succeed in the future. And that's what he's doing, right? Celine Bizet's 22. Grace Clinton's just turned 22. They've got Fallon Tullis-Joyce. May Letizier's 22. Jade Rivier's something like 24. This is a young squad. So I think he's doing the right thing. And I understand the criticism, and that comes from outside noise. The players are saying, past players are saying they're not comfortable. They haven't had a great experience. That's completely valid. And I think we need to speak about that as well. However, from a performance point of view this year, I think Man United are exactly where they need to be.
Yeah, and he does seem to attract a fair amount of criticism, even when he is performing. And actually, there's a great bit in his post-match press conference. If you go and check that out on our YouTube channel, at the end, he has a real joke with the journalists around around a bit of the stick that he sometimes gets. So yeah, definitely recommend you guys go and watch that in full online. Ishan, what's your take on it?
Time for some criticism, right? Yeah, I think United have overperformed in terms of where they are in the league this season. I don't think that team is under Mark Skinner is as good as where they currently are. I don't think Mark Skinner is as good to lead that team. I was pretty surprised when he was given the contract extension. But I will say they have the best defense in the league, and he's done really well with that defensive unit. I guess my biggest criticism of him is that in the big games, United just don't look like they're gonna really trouble an Arsenal or a Chelsea. Obviously, we have to caveat the Man City win with the number of injuries that Jamie listed out. But when you think of Chelsea beating Man United 6-0 at Old Trafford, and just all of the other games that Chelsea and Arsenal have kind of taken points off United, like they're never going to be serious title challengers unless they really fix that issue. And I think the upcoming fixtures that they have, this is where we really see, is Mark Skinner good enough? Is this United side good enough? Because they have a really good West Ham team that they're facing away from home coming up next. Man City again, which again, a very depleted squad. They'll probably get through that. But then they have Arsenal at the Emirates, which is, their fortress. And then Chelsea in the FA Cup final and the WSL. This is where we really see what Mark Skinner is made of and if he's actually good enough for United.
Yeah, it's a real tough end to the season there, but they're in a good spot for those Champions League places next season. So, like you say, let's see if they can play that out. That would be a great achievement, and of course, an FA Cup final to look forward to as well for them. He also spoke in his post-match press conference about the two goal scorers, Celine Bizet and Grace Clinton, and just how much they have brought to this United side after coming in over the summer.
Like in your side?
Yeah, they're huge. I think it's a great bit of recruitment in terms of, we identified Grace early. That was like 3 seasons ago or something, where she was at Everton, and I knew that her platform should be at Manchester United, and it should be that we put her on that kind of trajectory. It's taken a little bit of time. That's why we had the loans. Before she came off, I thought she was the best player on the park. I really did. Her dueling, her in and out of possession, her ability to change the game with a dribble is something that's we've not maybe had as much of. Tooney's obviously one of those players that does it, and Celine on the other side, she's kept JC out, and that's why it's inevitably JC's had to go out on loan, because Celine's come in and been a breath of fresh air in both the offensive and defensive phases. And I know sometimes people talk about but we're the best pressing team in the country. I've no doubt about that, and that's through their work rate and commitment. So that's the detail they've added to us.
Both those players, of course, playing for Spurs last season, Grace Clinton on loan and Celine Bizet being signed by United over the summer. Two great players who've injected so much into this team. I think it's fair to say they're a big part of the Spurs team that got to Wembley last year. Of course, were defeated by United in the final. Grace Clinton wasn't able to play that final because she was on loan there. And he actually also mentioned in the press conference about the romantic element of wanting her to play that final. So taking her off on a yellow when she didn't really deserve to be taken off. I think that's nice as well, because ultimately so much emotion in a final. And I'm really glad that she's going to be able to play and hopefully make her mark. Celine Bizet, what a player. Mm-hmm. You mentioned already just how great she's been, how young she is. Is she the signing of the season? Actually, I'm going to throw it to you and say, who is your signing of the season? I think she's a strong contender, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think.
I'll go with another United player, Tullis Joyce, who I think has been the best shot stopper in Europe, I'd say. Like her save percentage is 87.5, which is the highest in the WSL, kept the most clean sheets, and they've only conceded 9 goals as well, which obviously credit to the whole defense. But I think the saves that she's been pulling out have really kept them in games and helped them get 3 points where they probably deserved a draw. And that's the kind of goalkeeper that you need. I still think Hannah Hampton might be a better overall goalkeeper in terms of all the different things that she brings.
I'm sure you think Hannah Hampton's a better goalkeeper, yeah.
But Tullis Joyce has been absolutely incredible and best shot stopper in the league by far.
Yeah, and I think as well, credit to the management, the recruitment there, because everyone couldn't believe that Mary Earps had gone and who's going to replace her. And actually, like you say, she's been brilliant. And yesterday as well, kept her side in it. I know City didn't offer that much, but had she not made those phenomenal saves, who knows what happens after that. So yeah, great choice. Jamie?
I'm going to go Mariona Caldente. I think it's hard to look past her. I think her quality at Barcelona, we knew what a complete footballer she was. And she's obviously come over to Arsenal, and to sign a player like her for £0 Great British pounds is great business to be able to entice her to the club. And she's been phenomenal. Not only has she been, good on the wing, she's been good in the 10, she's been thrown back into the deep 8 and the pivot. So she's so versatile, and she's such a leader in that way, that she's such a good footballer. She leads and she raises the levels. 7 goals, 4 assists in the WSL, and in the Champions League again. Like, she's a player that's done it, she's won it. So I think she's just raising the levels at Arsenal, and when you can do that, you're a phenomenal footballer. So it would have to be Mariona for me.
Another great shout. And actually, that's interesting because Jonas Eidevall was another manager who got criticism for letting Miedemar go.
Yeah.
And of course, came out and said he wouldn't have been able to sign Caldente if he hadn't let Miedemar go. So maybe a bold, maybe the right choice. And there you go. I've got a few comments before we move on. I've got Charles Hamu Tenya saying, it is revenge all over. This is with regards to Chelsea, I assume. It is revenge all over. FA Cup final, semis with Barca. We are ready for them. The sky is blue. Then we have Hope Robo say, if Chelsea do the treble, that will become the expectation every year. Do you think they could keep it up season after season? Other clubs could try sign big players, but surely those players would only want Chelsea. Interesting. And Adam Salter 93, thank you so much for watching, Adam, and appreciate all your comments. If Matt Beard won manager of the season last season, Mark Skinner has to be in contention if Man United retain the FA Cup and get Champions League football.
Agree.
Yeah, fair comment. Okay, well, before we move on to City, I've just got a nice little fun clip from Grace Clinton earlier in the season. I spoke to her. I asked her a few things. One of the things I asked her was what her favourite meal is. What do you reckon her favourite meal is, guys?
I feel like she'd have a rogue like beans on toast or something. I feel like she'd be weird like that.
Well, let's find out what her favourite meal is and what the dressing room at Man United is like.
Ooh, a big roast dinner.
And what's the best thing about the dressing room at United?
The best thing about the dressing room, it's quite fun. I'd say you have big characters. There's loads of fun, and some people try and dance.
Are you a dancer?
No, not me.
Who are the dancers?
You have Celine, you have Mallard, Dooney, Millie maybe, but they're not that good.
Can we expect some dancing after some goals this season?
Hopefully, if there's loads of goals, yeah.
Well, let's see if there is some dancing at Wembley after the FA Cup final. Grace, I want to see you dancing if United win. We've got to move on to talk about Man City. It's not been a great season for them. Of course, they've had these horrific injury troubles. It's going to be a trophyless season. Them being knocked out means that. And before we go into talking about them, I'm going to cut to Nick Cushing, who spoke about his team's disappointing performance and a trophyless season for City.
Yeah, it's really tough to take personally because, this is way below the level that our fans deserve. The result against our rivals is painful, but I think the first 30 minutes is the most disappointing part because I don't think we competed. Now, in the sense of trophies, it is over, right? We can't win a trophy. We can mathematically still get in third place. And I said before the game, I think for us, we have to win out now. It was dead simple. We have to win every game. And if we win every game and Manchester United slip up with a difficult finish, we've got a chance. That means we have to win in front of our fans and play better. We have to go and win in Old Trafford. And you have to embrace the real pressure and the real responsibility of that. And, I said before the game, it's going to be a difficult game, this one. And, you have to be able to absorb pressure and fight through it. And that'll be no different in the next 4.
A really tough season for Man City. And as Cushing says there, they are going to need to win everything and hope that other teams don't. Just a quick yes, no. Are they going to get Champions League places this year?
Too many injuries. Don't think so.
They're too far behind United as well. Even if I mentioned United's tough fixtures, even if they slip up, I think the gap is just too big.
Yes. Well, there you go. We shall see. Before we move on, we mentioned their signing of the season. We would love to hear your signing of the season. I've got a comment from Ubby who says Sandy Baltimore is the signing of the season. Another great shout. So yeah, please do let us know in the comments who you think your signing of the season is. Okay, we're going to move on. We've got the WSL monthly awards for March. We saw Renee Sleggers win Manager of the Month for the back-to-back. She won February and March. Deservedly so. 100% win record for March. This is the third time she has won since she's taken over in October. That's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's deserved, to be honest.
Yeah, and I've got some stats, actually. You say it's deserved. 2.64 points per game, which is first in the WSL. This is since she's taken charge, of course, since October. 12 wins, joint first, 45 goals scored, first, a 36 goal difference, plus 36 goal difference. Wow, that's first. And 9 clean sheets, which is joint first. So you can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. And then player of the month, Shakira Martinez. We spoke about her a couple of weeks ago in that Chelsea game. And this is actually the first time West Ham have had a player win this award, which is crazy. But again, well deserved. And actually, we have a clip of her manager, Rhian Skinner, talking about the impact that Shakira Martinez has made for her team this season.
I think one of the other things that's evolved really well within the team is, adding Shakira to the team she's an out and out number 9, and I think we've needed that. And I think when we play, Rico's, one of the best in the league at hold-up play, and we need people to be able to work off of her. And I think Shakira adds that to our team. And with the additions of Serena Pubel and Manuela Pavey as well, they have added huge value to the team because we've got different ways of actually being able to connect and score goals. And I think Shakira has got an eye for goal. Her movement in between, the defenders for that first goal is a real out-and-out number 9's job, and she gives us that. And I think that's been a massive asset to her, and her goal involvement since she came in January, one of the best in the league, since January. And I think that's a credit to her. So, I think across the board, the forward line are exciting and they're really positive with everything that they do. And I think now that we're getting goals from lots of different people as well, it's taking pressure off individuals, they're enjoying it more, and the confidence levels are going through the roof.
Amazing to see Shakira Martinez win that award, and deservedly so. That was Rhian Skinner speaking after the Chelsea game, where they, of course, drew 2-2, Chelsea's first drop points at home this season, and Shakira Martinez scored both of those goals. So a deserved winner for March's player of the season. And now goal of the month. We have spoken to death already about Grace Clinton, but it would not be fair of me to not show you this goal.
Byings. One back by Grace Clinton. Oh, and she spotted D'Angelo off the line! Play to the whistle, Grace Clinton played on. And that's a really ingenious finish from Grace Clinton. Surely all 3 points secured now for Manchester United. They lead by 3 goals.
A worthy winner, I'm sure you will agree. And in that break while the goal was showing, Ishan just said, she's the United player that scares me. So there you go, you heard it here first. Now, we've mentioned Aggie Beever-Jones and Grace Clinton, 2 bright sparks for the Lionesses. I have to mention Michelle Agyemang again. We spoke about her last week and we weren't sure whether she'd get minutes. She got a bit more than minutes.
Yeah.
First 2 touches, and she's got a goal from that. Yeah. Wow. What a talent.
Mm-hmm.
So those 3 amazing stars of the future, well, present and future, to be honest. I want to add another player who we've mentioned today, Maya Le Tissier, Man United captain. 4 incredible English players. I want to hear from you. Who out of those guys do you think has the most potential to be, up there with the future Lionesses?
I honestly think all 4 of them. I think the one issue I have with Maya Le Tissier right now is Serena Wiegman doesn't really see her as a part of the plan. And I think we saw Lucy Bronze getting 180 minutes in that international break at right back. Serena views Le Tissier as a right back. So I'm a little bit shaky on whether she trusts her yet, but I think that comes with time, right? She's 22. She's dominating the WSL. I think Michelle Agyemang, you're 18 years old. You're taking 2 touches to put that top bins. That is unbelievable. And I think she's probably the only natural number 9 that England have coming up under Alessia Russo. So she's going to be in the squad no matter what. She doesn't really have to fight for that. She's going to be a star, but it's really only her as the only natural number 9. And I think Clinton and Beever-Jones are just in with the kind of crowd of being so many players in those positions. But again, they're going to be great. But I think Le Tissier will be a long-standing player for England. And I think Agyemang will be the number 9 for years to come.
I am going to ask you for one name, though. If you have to pick a fave out of those 4.
I'll go Agyemang just because she's young.
Yeah, nice.
I think so, yeah.
I really rate her as well. I think also, the last time England won the Euros, their third striker on the bench was Beth England, who obviously didn't play a single minute in the tournament, but Serena opted for the more experienced option. I think this time we might see her go with, rather than going with the experienced option, going with giving someone experience. And, you know, you never know, 5 minutes off the bench, like we saw what she could do in 41 seconds, let alone 5 minutes. So I think that could be really interesting. And also her at Brighton, the way she's been, you know, developing as a forward. And in the modern age, like the complete striker needs to be someone who can go out wide, hold up play, work on their 1v1 game and stuff like that. So she's really showing a lot of those traits. In terms of the Lionesses, I think Grace Clinton might be my top pick for that, just because of how important she is currently with Georgia Stanway being out injured. And like, I think this is a tournament, the upcoming Euros is one where she can really just go to the next level and, you know, establish herself as a Lioness for the years to come.
Yeah, I mean, exciting times ahead for the Lionesses, that's for sure. And I think sometimes we forget Lauren James wasn't even involved with the last Euros. So we've got her to, well, hopefully, injury permitting, we can get her back into the squad. And Jess Park, another person who's been in and around the setup and just keeps performing in that England shirt. So exciting stuff. Also, guys, 79 days to go until the Euros starts today. Not that I'm counting. I think I actually will get a countdown here for next week, because I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you're as excited as I am, but I cannot wait. Better than Christmas.
Yeah.
Agreed. Okay, well, we're going to move on to another segment now. We've got a bit of a, we're going to go for, haven't got a name for this segment yet. So I'd love to hear your comments if you can come up with a name. It's going to be a bit maybe of a funny segment, something funny a manager said or a player said, and we're going to play on it a little bit. So I want to show you the clip first, and it's Sonia Bonpastor explaining her love of chocolate.
And we got your chocolate for winning the Subway's League Cup final as well. So we've got that for you. So I haven't forgotten.
Cool. I'm a big chocolate fan, so Easter is coming. So thank you so much for that.
No worries, Phyllis.
I'm even more happy with the chocolate than with both.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That all came about. A reporter, David, we know David well. Shout out to David. He promised Sonia Bonpastor some chocolate if Chelsea won the League Cup final, which of course they did. And he delivered her with that chocolate on Saturday's match. So we heard there, Sonia Bonpastor loves chocolate, and she might even like chocolate more than she likes winning. Well,
I don't blame her.
Yeah. It's, of course, Easter coming up, so lots of chocolate to look forward to. So this little segment, it's a bit of a fun one. I'm going to ask you if football players were chocolate bars. Okay, so I'm going to give you a chocolate bar, and I want you to tell me who the football player is.
And we're only doing Chelsea and United players, right?
Yeah, we are. We're going to do Chelsea and United players for an FA Cup final edition. So, first one, I've got a Mars, which I would describe as reliable and classic. So, who's your Mars bar?
Mine would be Aaron Cuthbert from the...
Do you mean Clutchbert?
Clutchbert, shout out Adam. But yeah, just so reliable. Every time she's fit, she's an 8 out of 10 easily. So yeah, it's classic midfielder as well. Old school, Aaron Cuthbert.
Reliable and classic, definitely Lucy Bronze. We know that she's a certified winner. Everyone loves Lucy Bronze. She's a Mars bar, right? I think in terms of a player that's reliable, you can count on her in the big game. She's lifted every trophy there is. Yeah, Lucy Bronze is my Mars bar.
Amazing. As we go, please do let us know in the comments who your chocolate bars are. Sorry, who your football players are for these chocolate bars, but also let us know your favourite chocolates. Next one, I'm going to go for a Snickers. So maybe a nutty or eccentric player.
Okay. Do you want to go? You go first.
Yeah, you can go this time.
Okay, I'm going to go Ella Toon. I think that she's like a personality off the pitch, right? Like we saw it at the Euros, we saw it at the World Cup. She's like a media guy's dream because she's so funny. So I think she shows that on the pitch as well. I think she's so fun with the football. Like she's not a reserved midfielder. She's such an attacking midfielder. So yeah, if we're going to go eccentric, Ella Toon.
I went with Sandy Baltimore for this because obviously eccentric player in terms of just skills and the way she just breaks people's ankles. But even off the pitch, just her drip, is absolutely immaculate and very eccentric fashion sense as well. So I went with even the way she braids her hair and everything. Like I love everything about her.
Love that. Next one is a Galaxy, and I would describe a Galaxy as quite smooth. So who's your Galaxy player?
I'm going to go with Grace Clinton on this one. I said earlier she's the only United player that scares me. And it's because of just how smooth she is in midfield. Like, she can do pretty much both sides of the game. And I think she kind of defines smooth.
I'm going to go with the other player we've been talking about, Celine Bizet. I think with the ball at her feet, she's so cool with it. Like, her footwork is so classy, such a Norwegian player, like you can tell. So I think, there's no one like Celine Bizet when you're dribbling up the wing.
Nice.
Different definitions of smooth.
Yeah. Smooth. It can be anything you want it to be, right? Next one, I'm going to go for a Lion Bar. Who's fierce?
Oh, I've got two. Erin Cuthbert, you've said, but I think she's such a battler. Like, she's in there. She's such a hard player. But like Guro Wrighton, when she scores a penalty, right? She is a lion bar. Like the Guro.
The Guro, yeah.
I'm going to say Guro Wrighton for that, yeah.
I'm going to go with another member of T4, the little group, Millie Bright. I think she defines fierce. She's so tall, and the way she just smashes into people, and the clearances that go outside of King's Meadow, and someone has to go fetch the ball and stuff like that. Like, you do not want to be coming up against her. So yeah, she's definitely fierce.
You love it. Next one, I'm going to go for a flake, and I would describe a flake as quite versatile because you know, you can have it on anything. People put it on cake, people put it in their ice cream, people just have it as a after lunch snack. So who is your flake, your versatile player?
I like that metaphor from you. That's well
Thank you.
thought out.
Thank you. I do try.
I'm going to go for another United player, another midfielder, Hinata Miyazawa. I think she's so versatile. She can play deep. We saw her play in the 6 against City in the FA Cup. She's usually a high 10. We saw her at the World Cup a couple of years ago, highest goal scorer. So you wouldn't expect that from a deep 6 midfielder like she was on Sunday. So I think she's so good and her ceiling's so high. So Miyazawa for me.
Surprise, surprise, I'm going to go with the Chelsea player, Aggie Beaver-Jones. I think she is one of the most versatile players in the WSL. I mentioned earlier, can play all across the front line, and, you know, her performance levels don't drop. So just like the flake bar, you know, no matter what your use is, you know, it's always delivering. So just like Aggie Beaver-Jones.
Yeah, I do love a flake. I really do. Let us know who your chocolate bar players are. Maybe we can keep this as a regular feature because I quite enjoyed that. Or maybe I'll move it on
special.
to Easter special. Although Easter Monday next week, so I can bring it back out. Maybe we'll move on to crisps and juices, and we can work through it. Yeah, we can keep with this segment. A few more comments. We've got a comment from Hope Robbo saying Olivia Smith signing of the season. When or where do you think she would go to a top club?
I think Liverpool need to do everything they can to hold on to her this season. Like, we saw another player like that, kind of like Daphne Van Domselaar, although she's a goalkeeper. She went to Aston Villa and people were surprised with that move because they were, you know, not in the top 4. And I think Olivia Smith is destined for a big club. So Liverpool need to try their hardest to keep her.
100%. And I think 2 weeks ago we mentioned ambition, and, you know, when these I guess smaller teams that are trying to make the top 4 really need to show their ambition in terms of tying these players down to long-term contracts and paying them what the bigger clubs would be paying them. So we spoke about, I think, Shakira Martinez last week and how West Ham really need to keep her and players like her. So I think hopefully she stays at Liverpool and just develops as well because she's been absolutely on fire.
Yes, and we've got a few minutes left for you to keep voting in our poll this week on who is going to win the FA Cup final. The scores on the doors are 81% Chelsea, 19% United. So United fans, get your votes in if you want to up that percentage. And we have a few more comments here. We've got Olarung Beja has said, anytime Chelsea play Manchester United, the big difference is always Lauren James. The final is a revenge for Chelsea for losing the semi-final to Manchester United.
There's lots of revenge.
Cards, yeah.
Like, I guess the Chelsea City quadruple games that we had, there was a lot of like revenge in there. There's revenge against Chelsea United, revenge against Chelsea Barcelona. Like, there's a lot of revenge on
Joe
on
Montemurro facing Arsenal. Yeah, it's a big month for revenge.
Yes, we have Anwar Kissam say, I think Man United, in terms of players, they have quality and angry young players that can go ahead and win something this season. They have been consistent. They deserve it. I think they do deserve it. Let's see what they do. I really hope they give Chelsea a run for their money in that final. And we have a comment from Charles Hamatenya says Erin and Captain are reincarnation of N'Golo Kante. They deserve all the chocolates and everything you're asking.
They probably eat a lot of chocolate just before the game. That explains the energy that they bring in midfield.
Yes, and we have had a comment from Charles Hamatenya, another one. Thank you, Charles. Really appreciate you watching. But he says, wish y'all could do a pre-match analysis for the semis and final Champions League. So we've not got long left, but Charles, your wish is our demand. Jamie, I'll ask you about the Arsenal semi-final against Lyon. That one is on Saturday at the Emirates. What are you expecting?
Look, I think a semi-final home game off the bat. We know that this time this happened against Wolfsburg 2 seasons ago. It was about crowd and it was about numbers. And you've seen what Arsenal can do at the Emirates over the last couple of months. It's got a 4-0, a 5-0, the 3-0. So they're scoring lots of goals. However, unlike what you said, I think you said Chelsea and Barcelona, the biggest teams. I think Lyon were my pre-tournament pick to win the Champions League. I think the pace, the endeavour that they have, we spoke a little bit about it where I said their pace is so insane. And I think they're the ones to watch. Arsenal need to at least keep this to a 0-0 draw. They need to maybe get a goal on the board because playing away in a second leg is no easy task. So I think it's going to be interesting. But I do like the fairy tale of it all. Like Joe Montemurro, former Arsenal head coach, he's coming back to the Emirates maybe with some revenge. So I think Lyon are the team to watch. More revenge.
Bring it on.
So it'll be a hard task, that's for sure.
I mean, the Emirates is...
Why are we so angry?
You mentioned it earlier, the Emirates is such a fortress. That is going to be so lively on Saturday. I'm going to be there. Can't wait. It's going to be great. Ishan, I will ask you to preview the Barcelona-Chelsea game. That one is, of course, first leg in Barca.
Yeah, I think in this one, the midfield battle is where the game's going to be won and lost, is how well did Chelsea's midfield, reinforced midfield with Kira Walsh, I must add, a former Barcelona player, how well they do against, obviously Bonmati, Putellas, and Patry as well. So I think Barcelona, the way they play, they always just dominate the midfield. And if we can, get a sniff there with Aaron Cuthbert and Kira Walsh, and also just who plays between VK Kaptein and Shokin Uskan, we've seen both of them, really thrive this season. And VK, especially against Man City in that second leg, like the energy that she brought, I think might be really helpful against Barcelona. So I think it's about that midfield battle and also which team can take their chances. Obviously, football is all about goals, but like last season, if you think back to the game, like Chelsea had a lot of chances through Mayra Ramirez, and even in the second leg, after they went down to 10 players, they had the chances to get something from the tie, but didn't take them. And I think that's going to be crucial, especially for Chelsea, if they can take their chances and take a lead back home. But yeah, it's the midfield battle and the people up front.
So much to look forward to. What an exciting week of football Champions League semi-finals we have ahead. That is just about all we have time for this week. I'm going to give you the latest results of our poll. We've got Chelsea at 79% and Man United at 21%.
Never in doubt.
So yeah, you guys clearly think Chelsea are going to win that FA Cup final. But let's see. Thank you so much for watching. And next week, we will, of course, be reviewing those Champions League semi-finals. So make sure you don't miss it. In the meantime, please do get involved in the conversation across all our social media channels on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Have I missed any? All of them. Wherever you want to engage with us, we'll be there. We'd love to hear from you. What more content do you want? How do you want us to use these shows? Any more fun segments that you want to see? We would love to provide that and be your hub for women's football. So make sure you join us next week, 4 p.m, same time, same place. Thank you for watching.